It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good evening and welcome to your favorite sports show on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM Stereo. This is ZiFM Sport, the show that puts you on the pulse of everything that you need to know in the world of sport, local as well as international. And in the studio, we've got a power-packed team to deliver a power-packed edition of the show. Our producer is Sean Tafirinika, Christine Mizi, Alois Bunjira, Barry Menandi, and I'm Mike Madura. Being a Tuesday, we have our staple, the Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Schumacher. And the news there is that Lewis Hamilton admits that being on the brink of Michael Schumacher's all-time Formula One wins record doesn't seem real ahead of his first chance to equal one of the sport's greatest milestones at this weekend's Russian Grand Prix. But before we get there, we have news on the home front. Controversy in Zimbabwe football. Fissures have surfaced in the Zimbabwe Referees Committee, with reports emerging that a committee member has accused a fellow member of inciting female referees to make sexual harassment allegations against some bosses public. This, of course, is a follow-up on the revelation that there have been members of the Zimbabwe Referees Committee that have been asking for sexual favors in order to give opportunities and chances to women who are involved in the sport.
That should make for very interesting listening, and hearing the thoughts of the studio team will certainly be as equally intriguing. But we've also got our staple, which is around the world in 60, where we start in the United Arab Emirates, where South African veteran AB de Villiers struck a brisk half-century as Royal Challengers Bangalore opened their IPL, Indian Premier League T20 campaign, with a win over Sunrisers Hyderabad. In Italy, Novak Djokovic won his 5th Italian Open, as well as sealing a record 36th Masters 1000 title, thanks to a 7-5, 6-3 victory over Diego Schwartzman yesterday. And in South Africa, Stormers coach John Dobson is confident that his team will perform better than they did before lockdown when they return to action.
About halfway through the show's our play of the day. DJ Baz will be dishing out one of the hottest tracks at the moment. Then, of course, we bring you the beautiful game, kicking off in the Premier League, where Pep Guardiola hailed Kevin De Bruyne's influence upon an injury-ravaged Manchester City squad after he starred in last night's 3-1 win over Wolves. In Ligue 1, according to football pundit Dan Bent, Dele Alli would be fantastic at Paris Saint-Germain to link up with Kylian Mbappe and Neymar at the Parc des Princes. And in an update from the continent, head coach Gavin Hunt says joining Kaizer Chiefs has been an eye-opener after getting a first-hand showing of the club's inner workings and training facilities.
But as always, we start with our power play on Top Hit Tuesday. Today, it's the turn of Pendulum. This one is called Nothing for Free.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Now, we'd love to keep it interactive right here on your favorite sports show. At ZiFM Sport is the handle to follow and interact with. Lots of topical issues, especially on today's show, but none more topical than the story that's coming out of Zimbabwe football. Reports indicate that fissures have surfaced in the Zimbabwe Referees Committee, with reports emerging that a committee member has accused a fellow member of inciting female referees to make sexual harassment allegations against some bosses public. Some female referees raised sexual harassment charges against 2 referees' bosses, and the 2 officials are accused of demanding sexual favors from female referees, promising them promotion or more games to handle. Now, before we get into our discussion, let's first of all hear the thoughts of the board chairperson of the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe, Evernice Munando, who raises her concerns on the sexual harassment allegations leveled against some members of the Zimbabwe Referees Committee.
The female referees will not discharge their duties effectively because they fear victimization, and also in terms of accountability and transparency. In justice, when we talk about sports, it is also compromised because these female referees also act according to the male referees. And also as a human rights issue, I think it also limits the participation of women in the field of sport, because some of them, they also fear victimization, and also some of them, they may also agree to such use unknowingly and end up being in a mess, because sexual harassment is a very bad practice when it comes to women empowerment in the field of sport.
Chris, I've got to say that not only is this highly embarrassing, highly irregular, but this is something that we don't expect to hear from Zimbabwe football.
Definitely. I think it's the last thing that Zimbabwean football needs at the moment. I think if we're going to be talking about opportunity and growing the game and involving more women in the game, we cannot be having issues around sexual harassment and career progression in exchange for sexual favors. I think that that's playing a lot on power dynamics that exist. It's preying on people who want a career in the sport. And at the same time, I think now it's being used as almost a chip in the referees committee itself, because now the issue is not the sexual harassment. The issue is that these issues are being made public against particular bosses. So these are human beings that we're talking about. They're not pawns on a chessboard.
Alois, we've long heard about these stories. We've heard certain stories whispered, in pubs, whispered in chats and on social media groups, etc. So it's hardly surprising for anyone who has followed Zimbabwe football that these allegations are now starting to come to the light.
Yeah, Mike, I've been in football for a long time. We have heard, like you said, in the corridors, we have heard about these whispers. It's hardly surprising that we are not hearing them coming out of the light now. And, the way it's coming out is exactly how we have been hearing the whispers in the corridors. It's not something new. And I just think that there are some committee members that are actually put these ladies to actually claim that they've been harassed. I think it's just trying to muddy the waters so that but we know that these things have been happening, and the thing of accusing the other committee member of pushing these ladies, I think is just a defensive mechanism for the members that have been accused. But let this case go to court, whatever football court that is, whatever it is, and let's hear their defense, with evidence and everything. I'm sure that it will come out. They will out clean if they are clean. If they are dirty, they will out dirty. But I don't buy the story, which is somebody pushing the ladies to do it, because I have a feeling that this is happening, and this has been happening for quite some time now.
And Barry, you have to take a look at sport, and especially football. For far too long, we've had sometimes government being accused of interference in sport, the SRC of course having overreach and getting involved in issues that they're not supposed to get involved in. But surely this is something that government should champion, that the SRC should get to the bottom of, because the women who are involved in sport, involved in refereeing, have got to get some level of protection, and we've got to get down to the bottom of what has been happening, not just this year or last year, but over the years.
If anything, Mike, this is an opportunity for government to finally get their hands dirty in a clean way in football, in the sense that there are almost criminal allegations being made here. And these criminal allegations give the government an opportunity to have jurisdiction over football. What am I talking about? Well, this is abuse of office, because what it's saying is that the seniors in the referees committee are using their offices to get unwarranted sexual favors from those who want promotion. There's no greater case of, or at least if there's no money involved, there's no greater case of abuse of office. So for me, I think the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission immediately can perk their ears up and sit up like meerkats and say something is going on, and dive right in and begin to investigate and assist football in investigating these issues. And should the scepter of government involvement in football be raised, then government can simply say that no, we are sticking to the issues that relate to going ultra vires, the law of the land, not football law, the law of the land.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the FIFA themselves have taken a keen interest in these allegations here in Zimbabwe. They're supposed to have begun their own investigations into the allegations, and will be interviewing a number of people before making a determination. And Chris, there is a precedent, isn't there, when we take a look at what happened in Afghanistan?
Absolutely. So Afghanistan Football Association president, his name is Keramuddin Keram, was last year handed a life ban by the FIFA Ethics Committee for sexually abusing female national team players, and this was across a 5-year period. So they had an act, they were charging him with violating Article 23 and 25 of the code. So where you have a situation like that, FIFA will be able to, first of all, they've acted before. You need FIFA to continue acting, and I think that is exactly what's going to stop what we're seeing with the Referees Committee. I'm sure it's not only in the Referees Committee where these sexual harassment allegations are coming to light. And I think that the only way to stop it is to literally hand down punishment so that people don't think it's normal behavior and that they can get away with it.
And of course, FIFA took that action in Afghanistan as a result of players who made anonymous reports through newspapers, which is pretty much the same situation as has happened here in Zimbabwe, where people have begun by speaking to the media. We've seen revelations come out of the Chronicle, come out of the Sunday News out in the south of the country in Bulawayo, and that has started this story now, which is very embarrassing for the Zimbabwe Referees Committee and for Zimbabwe football in general. This is ZiFM Sport. As I said before, we'd love to hear from you on this issue and other issues in the world of sport at ZiFM Sport, or even just follow and interact with us in our individual capacities. Simply search for Alois Munjira, Barry Manandi, Christine Midzi, Shonta Flenika, Mark Ozo, and myself, Mike Madoda, on Twitter.
Hi, my name is Ruruni Shamba, Mytoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Time for our local sports news roundup, starting with cricket, where Zimbabwe cricket are making frantic efforts to get Chevron's coach Lalchand Rajput back in the country. They want him to take over leadership role during the training camp for the proposed limited series tour of Pakistan. Rajput had been holed up in his home country of India for the last few months because of the international travel restrictions. ZC Communications Manager Darlington Majonga said Rajput was expected in Zimbabwe once the situation allows him to travel. On to rugby news. Rugby activities in the country might still be prohibited, but the domestic games leadership is exploring ways to mitigate the devastating financial effects of coronavirus, as the sport remains hopeful of making a return to the playing field later this year after a frustrating 6 months. Zimbabwe Rugby Union President Aaron Jani revealed that instead of relying solely on the annual grant from World Rugby and handouts, Jani said his union had embarked on a number of initiatives to generate revenue for the Sables. ZRU recently launched an online fundraising initiative in an effort to galvanize support for the Sables, who are aiming to qualify for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. Let's wrap it up with boxing news now. Budding Bulawayo-based boxer Manlin Princess Munkuli has been keeping fit during the COVID-19 lockdown by conducting backyard boxing training lessons at her Njube home. The 18-year-old, who is a member of the Nketa Boxing Club, charges 200 Rand for 5 Saturday training sessions. What started off as a way of keeping fit and in shape has developed into a source of income for Munkuli, who won gold for Bulawayo in the bantamweight division at last year's edition of the Zimbabwe National Youth Games that were held in Gweru.
Hi, this is Mike Madod, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimbabwe, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, specialized service for special brands.
Now this week we're talking about the compact SUVs in our Jeep range, the 2020 Jeep Renegade and the 2020 Jeep Campus. Take the show on the road with the all-new Jeep Renegade with a fresh spin on the iconic Jeep brand styling. The Renegade brings a bold, rugged look that's built to stand out wherever you go. Stylish seating choices and meticulously crafted materials with ingenious storage solutions inside the Renegade mean you'll conquer any quest in comfort and style. The Renegade puts the latest technologies like Apple CarPlay at your beck and call, helping to keep you safe, secure, connected, and entertained just the way you like.
From the driveway to the highway to very far away. Yes, I did that all by myself. For the various available 4x4 systems on the Renegade are ready to bring on the thrills. Choose from the available 1.3-litre 4-cylinder Tiger Shark engine with up to 180 horsepower. While you're on the lookout for thrills and adventure, the 2020 Renegade offers over 70 standard and available safety and security features, looking out for you and your crew. On to another vehicle. Let's talk the all-new Jeep Compass, where first impressions matter and style comes naturally. From the sleek black roof to the premium high-intensity discharge headlamps, right down to the attractive and capable wheel options available in a variety of styles and finishes, the 2020 Jeep Compass is refined and ready to impress. It's what's inside that counts.
The Jeep Campus offers comfortable and contemporary interior styling, complete with a new available Alpine premium audio system, abundant cargo options, and roomy, configurable seating that keeps up with your lifestyle. Stay connected in ways you never thought possible with a pinch-to-zoom touchscreen that controls the interior temperature, available heated seats, and entertainment features, in addition to being smartphone compatible. Stay tuned to find out more news out of Zimbabwe.
Z.
Onto our Formula One report proper, where Lewis Hamilton admits that being Michael Schumacher's all-time Formula One wins record doesn't seem real, ahead of his first chance to equal one of the sport's greatest milestones at this weekend's Russian Grand Prix. Hamilton's 90th career win at Mugello last time out has put him one win away from Schumacher's haul of 91, a record number that was considered untouchable when the German great won his final race in 2006. Now, Hamilton could equal and surpass quite a few records. Obviously, the wins record is going to be first, but you got to say to yourself, possibly that 7th championship to equal those of Michael Schumacher is also in the back of his mind, aren't they, Chris?
No, most definitely. But I think everything is within touching distance. And I think especially because Mercedes has been so superior this season and will continue to do so next season as well, then obviously he's going to be high on confidence. And I think as a driver, this is something I think he's earned. He's been in the sport for a while, and it's something he definitely, those two records are something that he wants to surpass before his racing career is over.
Certainly, and Hamilton himself, yes, Mercedes has backed him and supported him with a good car. He's had to drive that car, Mike, and he's done a good job of doing that.
Absolutely, he's done a very good job at doing that. He's dominated the sport, and one can talk about Mercedes. Obviously, Mercedes have given him a very good car, but you'd on the other side say that the other Mercedes driver hasn't been as good, apart from Nico Rosberg. And, you know, it's a bit of a pity that Nico Rosberg retired immediately after he won that World Championship. He could have been the driver that had the talent, the ability, the motivation to go toe-to-toe with Lewis Hamilton in the same car. So it was a bit of a surprise when Nico Rosberg said, you know what, I've had enough. And I'm going to move into punditry. So that almost opened the way for Lewis Hamilton to completely dominate the sport, and that he has done. And he'll be talked about, Barry, in the same sentence, in the same vein as Michael Schumacher, as Jackie Stewart. We'll talk about him in the same vein as Alain Prost. And of course, the late Ayrton Senna, who was an absolutely talented driver and could have achieved more if he hadn't been cut down in his prime when he died on the track during a Formula One Grand Prix. So for Hamilton, for me, he's done what he's needed to do to take himself to the very top of the sport.
Now, when Michael Schumacher retired from Formula One for the second and final time in 2012, after an unsuccessful 3-year comeback, Hamilton replaced him at Mercedes, and at that stage had won 22 Grand Prix. Hamilton has since won 69 times for Mercedes in 149 races. He's 1 win away from equaling that 91 mark that was set by the great and legendary Michael Schumacher. In driver standings, he's atop those with 190 points. Valtteri Bottas, his teammate at Mercedes, is second with 135 points. In third is Max Verstappen of Red Bull, 110 points. Lando Norris of McLaren is in fourth on 65 points, and Alex Albon of Red Bull is sitting in fifth on 63 points. The Ferraris, eighth is Charles Leclerc on 49 points, and Sebastian Vettel is sitting in 13th position. The constructors standings, not too much to report there. In first is Mercedes, second Red Bull, third McLaren, fourth Racing Point, and in fifth position Renault. The next Grand Prix, as Mike was saying, is the Russian Grand Prix this coming weekend.
Z.
More good news out of Zimbabwe. Drive into the future of technology with the 2020 Jeep Campus. There's a whole world out there, and the Jeep Campus is ready to discover it with you. With trail-rated capability, Compax Trailhawk can help you through every season on every road. In addition, Campus 4x2 models offer impressive efficiency with a best-in-class fuel consumption. Intuitive and always thinking ahead, the 2020 Jeep Campus offers innovative, standard and available safety and security technology designed to help protect you from the unexpected and anticipate the things you don't.
Remember, when you buy any Jeep model from Zimbabwe, the only authorized distributor of Jeep vehicles in Zimbabwe, you're guaranteed of 2 years or 100,000 kilometers warranty. Full Parts and Circle is here to look after you and your Jeep for the long run. Now visit our showroom at Sam Levy's Village, Borrowdale, whenever you get a chance, or email us on sales@zimbabwe.co.zw for more information. Jeep, there's only one, and Zimbabwe, specialized service for special brands.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimbabwe, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Only DSTV brings you the very best football action. Catch all the action from the most popular league in the world, the English Premier League, with some of the world's biggest stars in Sadio Mane, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Virgil van Dijk. Catch all the action on the brand new SuperSport Premier League channel on channel 223. We have the world's best football, only on DSTV.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll start in the United Arab Emirates, where South African veteran AB de Villiers struck a brisk half-century as Royal Challengers Bangalore opened their Indian Premier League T20 campaign with a win over Sunrisers Hyderabad. De Villiers smashed 51 off 30 deliveries to guide last year's Wooden Spooners Bangalore, captained by Virat Kohli, to 163 for 5 and a 10-run victory in Dubai. Bangalore, led by leg spinner Yuzvendra Chahal, bowled out Hyderabad for 153 despite a valiant 61 by Johnny Bairstow. We'll head over to Italy, where Novak Djokovic won his 5th Italian Open, as well as sealing a record 36 Masters 1000 title thanks to a 7-5-6-3 victory over Diego Schwartzman yesterday. Schwartzman, who knocked out a 9-time champion Nadal earlier in the competition, was unable to contain the top-ranked Serb in front of 1,000 spectators admitted to the main centre court. On the ladies' side, Simona Halep claimed the Italian Open in Rome after Karolina Pliskova retired through injury when she was 6-love 2-1 down. The Romanian was at her aggressive and disciplined best, while Pliskova looked sluggish with her on-court movement. And in South Africa, Stormers coach John Dobson is confident that his team will perform better than they did before lockdown when they return to action. Dobson's Chargers will make their return this weekend when they tackle the Lions in Superfan Saturday at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. It will be a precursor for a double round of local action over 16 weeks with 2 trophies up for grabs, Super Rugby Unlocked and the Currie Cup. The Grandstand channel, I'm sure you've checked it out, launched with the revamp of Super Sports Channel Reshuffle recently. It's designed to bring you the best of live sporting action throughout the day, with the focus primarily on the premium sports and not the football ones that sit right next to it. You can see the pick of the rugby, cricket, golf, motorsport, tennis, and more as the day's sporting offering unfolds.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles at home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Our coverage of the beautiful game starts in England in the Premier League, where Pep Guardiola hailed Kevin De Bruyne's influence upon an injury-ravaged Manchester City squad after he starred in last night's 3-1 win over Wolves. Guardiola headed to Molineux with 7 senior players unavailable, but his team turned in a sparkling display against opponents who beat them twice last season. De Bruyne was City's star man, winning and converting a 20th minute penalty before having a hand in goals for Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus. Let's hear from Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, it's a good one. So we know how difficult it is. This stadium, and but the game was good. Always is try to do in this way. Sometimes we cannot because the opponent is good, and sometimes we need more time to get our best condition. But yeah, it's a good start coming here and win. We could not run much because we are tired in our legs, but in general we did a good game.
Z. Well, Manchester City and indeed Kevin De Bruyne picking up where they left off, Alois, and it was a remarkable showing at times, but you got to say Wolves were very much in this game, especially in the second half.
Yeah, I thought Wolves did well. I thought they could have done better. They could have probably salvaged a point in this game as well. But there's no doubt that when you look at De Bruyne, he has been a big influence in Manchester City, and he continues to do that. Everybody knows that he is footballer of the year. Everybody knows how our team do, and he continues. I think he is actually growing with each and every match and age as well. You can actually see how composed he looks. Very quiet on the field as well. Not quiet as in terms of he's not vocal, quiet as in terms of he doesn't shout at everybody. He goes around doing his business, and most of his thing is in action, and he's very influential when he is in action. And I like the way he does it. He glides, he's smooth, and his influence is second to none. And not about it, the coach is also noticing fans, noticing he's one of the best players in the English Premier League in a time as well.
Yeah, one of the best players that we've seen play in a team that was absolutely ravaged, Chris, by injuries and unavailability of players. If you run down that list, I mean, any team would struggle without those players. But City, because of their depth, can still put out a phenomenal lineup.
Definitely, and I think that's one of the most impressive things about Manchester City is that depth, is that when certain players are not available, they still have a lot to dig into. To be able to go up against a team like Wolves, who are an incredibly strong team. I think we saw them last season, and even last night, there's a fight about Wolves. They're the kind of team that doesn't sit back. They fight quite a bit, no matter who the opponent is, a well-coached team as well. So I think having that depth, and also players like Kevin De Bruyne, who show up when it's absolutely necessary, when the team needs them. I think it's critical for Manchester City that they have those kind of players, and that squad depth is going to carry them through, especially a season like this one that we are in now, where they haven't necessarily had a break. You're going to be having these injuries, and Manchester City have a lot of players to pull on.
Well, those absentees include Ilkay Gundogan, who tested positive for coronavirus. And you look at Sergio Aguero, Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, Alexander Zinchenko, Eric Garcia, all out through injury. Emerick Laporte, he only returned to training last Friday following his own COVID-19 case. And so, starting in the heart of defense, Mike, was John Stones and Nathan Ake. Very rarely do we see Pep Guardiola start with a double six. He did that yesterday. Surely that's a compliment to Nuno Espirito Santo and Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was also, Barry, a reflection of the resources that he had. I think he was just putting the players that he had in the best positions that they could perform. And I was particularly impressed by John Stones and Nathan Ake last night. John Stones, he's taken a bit of a battering in the media with pundits over his performance levels for Pep Guardiola's side. But I thought yesterday he was able to play very well for someone who did not get a regular football all through last season. Nathan Ake has come in from Bournemouth, and he's just gone in there like a hand in glove, performing at a very high level. I thought he was one of the best defenders, even though he was involved in a relegation dogfight with Bournemouth last season. So it shows you the depth that Manchester City has got, and it shows you the willingness that Pep Guardiola has to experiment, to shift his team, to basically go horses for courses in this league campaign. He's going to pick his best players in their best positions and not necessarily be consistent about his team formation and his team selections. That's what we've seen with Pep Guardiola from his Barcelona days, his Bayern Munich days, and even last season with Manchester City. He's going to be chopping and changing as required by the task at hand.
And that double six or double defensive midfield combination was Fernandinho and Rodri, and they sat as the screen in front of John Stones, Nathan Ake, and the rest of that back four, doing a phenomenal job, only conceding that a single goal against a Wolves side that was rampant in the second half, but still couldn't get the goal. Pretty wasteful, if you ask me, but still a good game of football. All you can ask for is 3 points at the end of the day. In other action, yesterday evening, Aston Villa prevailing over Sheffield United 1-0. Now they got their first 3 points in their first outing. Ezra Konsa his second half goal, ensuring that Aston Villa got their Premier League campaign underway with a win following a 1-0 victory over 10-man Sheffield United. Chris Wilder's side were on the back foot as early as the 12th minute when John Egan, who grappled with Ollie Watkins as the Villa forward looked to latch onto a loose ball, was adjudged to have denied a goal-scoring opportunity by referee Graham Scott. And just like it happened in the Liverpool-Chelsea game, he saw red down to 10 men. Exciting game of football, this one. Alois, you got to say to yourself, Aston Villa will think to themselves, 3 points in the back pocket is not bad for our first game of the season.
Yeah, of course, Barry. You know, we all worried in Zimbabwe about Aston Villa, you know, because of our boy, and they escaped by the skill tip last season. So this is at the time that they should be collecting points, you know, earlier on in the season, so that they put them in the bag and be safe towards the end of the season. So we were happy, and I think they did well. They deserve the win, and congratulations Aston Villa. These are the matches that they should be winning, you know, which they want to avoid relegation, need to beat teams like that. So I'm happy them. They collected the 3 points. They can actually, you know, at the end of the season, these 3 points are going to be valuable, and well done to them.
Mike, talking about our boy, Marvelous Nakamba. He didn't play last night. And if you got to think to yourself, if Douglas Luiz carries on with the form that he had, similar to how he played last night, it's going to be hard for our boy to see any game time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were also keeping an eye out on Villa's first selection of the season, and with Marvelous Number on the bench, and hardly surprising because he became a bit part player towards the end of last season. His manager unwilling to trust him as Aston Villa battled relegation, and this season he's gone with more or less the same players that he trusted at the back end of last season. Marvelous Nakamba will have to make an impact off the bench. I think it's probably a position that suits him for now. Because he'll be able to come in and give his all in those fits and bursts, over 25 or 30 minutes. He wasn't needed in this particular game, but you do get, of course, the feeling that he's got his work cut out for him, Marvelous Nakamba. There are a lot of players in midfield who are performing, but I think the approach of Dean Smith over the course of the season, and with the nature of English football, cup competitions like the Carabao Cup, where Villa has advanced and Marvelous Nakamba played very well in that outing last week, the FA Cup, and of course the league campaign, and the fact that players will get suspended, especially in midfield for teams that are sort of in the bottom half of the table. You'll get players injured and suspended. Marvelous Nakamba is still expected to play a decent amount of games.
He'll play a decent number of games. Chris, very quickly, you got to say to yourself that Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper at Aston Villa, must have made our producer Shonta Firinyega cry last night, because he moved from Arsenal and in his first game, his debut match, saves a penalty. That's the quality of the man, isn't it?
Absolute quality, and I think it's just interesting that his first game out, he makes this kind of save. And I think Arsenal at the moment, because they're taking a look at their own keeper and he's not performing the way that they want to, there are doubts around him, and they're going to definitely regret letting him go. I think he put up a brilliant performance last night.
Brilliant performance indeed. Well, there's action tonight in the Carabao Cup. It's the third round of matches. Leyton Orient takes on Tottenham Hotspur. Newport County host Watford. Brentford travel to West Bromwich Albion, while West Ham United takes on Hull City. And Luton Town will entertain Manchester United.
Neymar, Mbappe, Dibai, and now Tino Kadewere enjoys a taste of the French football on a ZiFM Sport.
An English flavor to our French football reporter today, and the news is that football pundit Darren Bent says Dele Alli would be a fantastic signing for PSG. Bent has urged the Tottenham star to link up with Kylian Mbappe and Neymar at the Parc des Princes after losing Jose Mourinho's trust. Ali's future at Spurs has been called into question at the start of the 2020-2021 season. The England international was substituted at halftime during an opening weekend loss to Everton before being omitted from Mourinho's squad completely in a Europa League qualifying win at Lokomotiv Plovdiv. And Dele Alli, one of those players that has fallen badly away, Chris, at Tottenham Hotspur. He used to be one of the key players. When you talked about Spurs, you talked about a Harry Kane, you talked about Dele Alli. Those were the two players that held the team together. Over the last couple of seasons, his form has badly dipped.
He's badly dipped. He's become one of the more lackluster players, as it were, at Tottenham, and you'd expect a lot more from him. I think the suggestion, rather, that he would go out to PSG and obviously play incredibly well, I don't think it's a well thought out sort of suggestion. I think he's the kind of player where once his form dips like this, I don't think going out to a team like PSG is exactly what he needs. I don't think it's going to do anything for his form. And I think, in fact, the level of competition in terms of the other players there might even be higher than what he's experiencing at the moment.
Barry, he's a player that we know he has the ability. I mean, he's one of those rare breeds that you get, a scoring midfielder. He's got the touch, he's got the ability. He seems to be very low on confidence. Chris reckons PSG is a bad move. What are your thoughts? Can he make the cut in Paris?
Mike, Dele Alli is a fantastic footballer. He can play anywhere in the world. He can play at PSG. He can even stay at Spurs and fight for his position and successfully fight for his position. But I think the documentary series All or Nothing Tottenham Hotspur has given us a picture as to why Dele Alli hasn't hit the heights that we expected him to. He doesn't train well. He doesn't work hard in training, and therefore it filters into his gameplay. So the first thing that needs to be sorted out for Dele Alli is the grey stuff between his ears. He's got to get his head into the game, decide he's a professional footballer, and he's going to do what needs to be done, and work hard at training, work hard on the field for a team.
Right, let's give you a Zim players update. We've got a couple of our stars who are plying their trade out in France. Tinotinda Kadewere came on as a second half substitute in Lyon's goalless draw against Nice on Friday night, and Marshall Monet was red carded in the second half of Stade Rennes' 2-1 loss to Metz. Marshall Munetsi, he's getting red carded, a very aggressive player, isn't he, Alois Munjira? And would like to see him, of course, rein in that aggression if he is to become an effective player out in France and even for the Warriors in midfield.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with somebody getting aggressive in his position. He's a big boy. He's about boss players around, which is actually quite good. When probably he's actually getting the reputation that he's not a soft player. So players, attacking players, need to be worried about him, scared about it. So sometimes it's actually quite good. Grabowski used to say that if you're a bending player and you never get a yellow card or red card, you're costing the team at some point, because you're not being aggressive enough. So I like it to be robust, like you say, he should actually bring that to Zimbabwe as well, because in Africa it's always robust, aggressive. He should actually come and give us that edge of football that he is producing right now.
The beating drum, the roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
Bringing you back to the continent, head coach Gavin Hunt says joining Kaizer Chiefs has been an eye-opener after getting a first-hand showing of the club's inner workings and training facilities. Hunt replaced sacked Ernst Middendorp at the club last week and is quickly mandated with a return to the glory days after their inability to claim the 2019-20 Premiership title. On his arrival at Chiefs training base at Naturena Village for the first time, Hunt revealed he was blown away by the standard of the facility. Barry, Kaizer Chiefs have given Gavin Hunt basically the mandate to compete in the CAF Champions League, to go beyond the group stages, to do better. They've given him the assistant coaches. They've appointed 2 new assistant coaches. They've given him basically everything. He's happy with the facilities. It's up to Gavin Hunt to stitch this all together. And if he fails, Kaizer Motaung is not going to be a happy man at all.
Yeah, and I think the last bit that you mentioned there is going to be the key component, in the sense that the chairman, Kaizer Motaung, has basically retaken control of the club, certainly in the last month or so, to ensure that he drives it in the direction that he wants it to go. I think Gavin Hunt was the man that he wanted. He got his man. I believe his man will deliver. He's given him all that he needs. Let's see how this goes.
Alois, you take a look at that Kaizer Chiefs squad. We've talked about the fact that it needs refreshing. It needs some younger players in that mix as well. Gavin Hunt joining Kaizer Chiefs, do you think he's been given that allowance as well to go out into the market and to get these sort of players after the addition of the assistant coaches, the fantastic facilities, etc.?
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Gavin Hunt is blown away by the facilities at Naturena, because if you look where he's coming from, he didn't something like that. Kaizer Chiefs is actually world class when it comes to facilities. But as for players, you talked about the younger players. I don't think you're going to have your wish quite come true, because Gavin Hunt is not sort of a player coach that grooms youngsters or bring them in. Usually he goes for experience. So if Kaizer Chiefs are going to please Gavin Hunt, they have to get their checkbook out and actually be ready to actually have the request from Gavin Hunt that he needs experienced players in that squad. He would tell them that I'm going into Africa, I'm not going to get in with stars, I'm going with experienced players. So Gavin Hunt is a coach who wants to piece experienced players together and actually get results. So I'm expecting to be recruiting a lot of experienced players at Naturena. 1 or 2 youngsters will come through, yes, but most of the bulk of his new players are going to be experienced players, and we should start to streaming into Naturena from next week or so. So yeah, I think he's a good buy. He's a good catch for Kaizer Chiefs. He can do it for them, especially going into Africa. They've actually the right choice for Gavin Hand if you look at all the logics available.
He's been given all the tools. We wait to see what he manages to do with them. Can he take Kaizer Chiefs back to the glory days?
That's all we have time for. We'll catch you tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.